So, welcome and good morning, everyone. Let's begin this special session in tribute to Professor Mauro Boianovisky. First, I wish to express my appreciation to the organizer for setting up this session. Congratulations, Professor Oreiro, and all the organizers. It is a mix of honor and sadness that I begin this special session. Mauro personally wasn't my professor, but I always feel like he's a student. That's why I know you'd like my pronunciation in English, because I know so close friends. In this session, you get not only to discuss ideas and share knowledge, but also to celebrate the life and career of a man who made significant contributions to academia. Professor Mauro Boianovisky was a remarkable figure, international renown, and tireless dedication to advance of economic thought. Everyone knows that your career has been marked by a numerous achievements and publications that profound impact the field of economics. Today, you have the opportunity to hear endorsements and presentations from some of his colleagues and friends who will share your experience and reflections on the impact of Professor Mauro Boianovisky on their lives and careers. We all carry a piece of his legacy, and together we will pay tribute to a professor who will never be forgotten. I would like to begin this session inviting Professor Joaquim to take the floor. Professor, you have the word. Thank you.
Well, this is a tribute to Mauro. This is a tribute to Mauro or homage to Mauro. I'll start now reading. According to George Arbache, maybe it might not seem like it that Mauro was a sensitive guy. He was a lover of samba, street carnival, chorinho, and Brazilian. He lived in Brasilia by choice, as he had no shortage of invitations to move to many of the most prestigious universities in the States and Europe. Mauro's work was immense and intense and very influential. Mauro received the most important national and international awards, was considered by the Academy of the School of Economic Thought as one of the most brilliant authors of all time, held the most international positions in the area, and perhaps can be considered the most prestigious Brazilian economist and influence it had its respective area at an international level. Okay, I have to eat the microphone. According to Calixte, internationally, Mauro Boianovisky presided over a history of economic society between 2016 to 2017, a fact that he always commented on with great pride, in addition to the extensive list of recognitions, citations, and articles in all relevant journals in the area, the most difficult and varied themes and schools of economic thought. I hope that Professor Mauro's legacy for HPE continues. It will not be easy. His capacity for intellectual work was unique. He was publishing normally. All his articles have this characteristic: erudite, unmissable, and surprising, presenting the reader who makes the effort to read dense texts with a lot of research into primary sources, historical archives, and the deep economic analysis without theoretical preconceptions or of schools of thought. According to Joaquim, I have known Mauro since his master's degree at UNB. I remember that I taught thinking in the macro course. At this time, he was already known as a PhD. Afterwards, Mauro continued his training at the University of Cambridge, England. By happy chance, I found Mauro walking along the sidewalk. I was in the middle of the traffic and I did not even get out of the car to talk to him. I asked him if he wanted to come to UNB. He seemed to like the idea. A while later, I learned that he was preparing for a transfer from University Federal Fluminense to UNB. We created a heterodox research group composed by Tulipan, Mario Poças, Maria de Lourdes Molo, Maria Luisa Falcão, me, and Mauro. In this group, we published 3 books in which Mauro participated in all of them. It's funny that I myself started producing economic history texts. Not that good. During this period, Mauro was preparing for his academic career. It is time to enumerate some aspects of his behavior that reinforces his discipline and application, as well as some funny oddities, like fear of using elevator, fear of crossing the bridge, Rio Niterói, hate noises from the apartment above, any distinct noise from his laptop. From his laptop, he would call me. Besides, he was not fond of computer and used it by necessity. He would call me to fix his laptop and fill the printer fluid. Mauro's successful research career began at UNB. Mauro would bring to me some of the new works to comment on. There was his work on economic development, where he brought the randomized experiments and development policy design, where Brazilian professor Leonardo Burstein of Chicago is a leading researcher. Leonardo was top student of mine. Another topic is about travel. There is a notorious research on Douglas North's visit to the Northeast that was very enlightening about his vision of economic development. Friedman's arrival in Brazil in the 1970s shed light on one of the leading economists of the time. Friedman wanted to understand indexation models and concluded that indexation was followed by inflation stability. Another interesting work was on the finance motive, which presents Simonson's vision. Mauro's academic production was intense. 80 published articles, 39 book chapters, 7 works published in conference, 23 works published in conference proceedings, and 7 awards. It's worth revisiting his analysis of 2 classic authors, Wicksell, Samuelson, and Lucas. Despite being a Valrasian, Wicksell soon began to introduce values. This part is most words that I try to change a little bit sometimes. Despite being a Valrasian, Wicksell soon began to introduce aggregated values. Você quer que eu engula? I think I have to swallow it. Despite being a Valrasian, Wicksell soon began to introduce aggregate values of consumption and investment. It was impossible to understand fluctuations in the economy using Valra's law apparatus. It was necessary to think about consumption and investment in aggregate to be able to understand the fluctuations. Wicksell goes on to formulate monetary theory as the study of the relationship between aggregate supply and its respective components, component supply of consumer goods and capital goods on the one hand, and income spent and saved on the other. This is a preview of macroeconomics. According to Wicksell, if banks lend at a rate of interest below the natural rate, the economic equilibrium of the system is disturbed. If prices remain unchanged, entrepreneurs will, in the first instance, obtain a surplus profit over and above the real entrepreneur profit or wage. They will inevitably be induced to extend their business in order to exploit the favorable turn of events. This may be regarded as an early use of the representative agent notion. Indeed, Wicksell may have started the macroeconomic practice of imagining an economy producing a single good whose physical output and price are expressed as a single number. Samuelson and Lucas. Same are the bad guys. Samuelson and Lucas. Samuelson, as everyone knows, was the most important author of the century with his book, Foundations of Economic Analysis. The core of neoclassical economics was in this book. His theory was that market agents are guided by the motive of utility maximization, and market equilibrium is guaranteed by the presence of a Valrasian auctioneer. Note that this balance is static and micro-based, that the parameters are determined by maximization. Differently, macroeconomic dynamics are defined by non-micro-based differential equations in which the parameter values were restricted by the hypothesis of dynamic stability based on the correspondence principle. Basic separation between Samuelson, there is a basic separation between maximization and dynamic. It is from the criticism of Samuelson model that Lucas' contribution arises. The contribution Lucas draws attention to the fact that the real side of the economy determines the existence of cycles. Supply shocks cause changes. It was not monetary shocks, but that caused changes in employment and output, that real shocks. Lucas, however, was not satisfied with the results and recognized that the models based on monetary shocks with fixed prices had good adherence to reality. In 2011, he commented that his 1972 paper was unsuccessful in providing a positive theory about Phillips curve observation. So we had what we call price thickness, which seems to be central to the way the system works. I thought my 72 model was going to explain price thickness, and it didn't. So we are still working on it. Somebody's working. Considering Vixel, Samuelson and Lucas, Mauro chose Vixel as his favorite, and I tend to agree.
Our thanks to Professor Joaquim for his great lecture about life and career of Professor Mauro Boianovisky. Now I give the floor to Professor Porcili. Take the word.
Hello. Well, first of all, thank you to Jose Luis for the invitation. Really honored to be here, giving this tribute to the work and life of Mauro, and I'm particularly also happy of being in the same panel here with Joaquim, who is also a great economist and such a good friend of Mauro. I would say just a few words. I did not have the opportunity to work with Mauro, but I read his work, and in particular, I have been working for ECLAC in the last 13 years, and Mauro did very interesting work about the ideas of ECLAC, the evolution of certain ideas in the structuralist tradition that were very much read and respected and admired in ECLAC. I would say just two things about my experience in reading the work of Mauro. One is, of course, one learned a lot about the history of ideas, the genealogy of ideas, how these ideas evolved, are constructed, the debates that are associated with these ideas. But I would also emphasize that when one reads Mauro, one learns a lot about economic theory. It's not just the history of ideas, but I did feel that my understanding and somehow interest in economic theory was very much reinforced by the ideas and the discussion that Mauro presented. I will make a very short reference to this work, The Origins and Development of Latin American Structuralist Approach to the Balance of Payments. one very interesting thing is that how at the beginning of the evolution of Prebisch ideas in particular, the conversation with people in the IMF was very fluid, and many feedbacks and interactions can be found that were very important in the evolution of the structuralist ideas. In this sense, Mauro somehow is telling us, look, how important is to have this open mind, to listen, to interact, to discuss between different theoretical approaches and different schools of thought, and how this helps in a significant way to develop, to improve, to refine the structuralist school. So this is something that impressed me very much. The other thing is the erudition of Mauro in managing and being able to take the essence of the debates in theory so well. I mean, it is difficult to be able to capture the essence of a debate in such a structured and a sophisticated way. So I will finish saying that perhaps one important tribute that we should continue to give to the work of Mauro is to have this open mind, to have this capacity to listen, to see the interactions, to see what we can learn from these debates. And the other is to recover as well, or to understand that our discussions today owe a lot to discussions that have been taken in the past, and that there are important lessons. I could just mention one. The discussion about the Dutch disease in the study he made in Venezuela, in the work that Celso Furtado did for Venezuela in the 50s. It's interesting. There is a lot to learn there from the current discussions about the role of the real exchange rate in development, for instance. There are some interesting insights there that could be helpful today. So look at the past also, because critical, interesting ideas can be found in this previous discussion. So I will stop here, and thank you again very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Professor Porcilli. We still have a few minutes before to end the session. So if anyone would like to speak, feel free. Please just introduce yourself, and I open for comments, appointments. So, I need to conclude this session. Thank you all for all your attention, and please. Yes, Professor, please.
Compare Mauro's appraisal of Lucas and Samuelson, you tend to agree that he preferred Wixel, and I prefer to. I think Macro owns Wixel, not Samuelson, not Lucas.
Please join me in a round of applause in honor of Professor Mauro Boianovisky.